Welcome to this 7th lecture of this course on polymer chemistry. Today we will continue the discussion we had on step growth polymerization. Before we start the topics of the 7th lecture, let us recap what we have studied in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we had studied the mechanism, the strategies by which we can control the molecular weight of a step polymer. There is some time, as I mentioned in last lecture, that you might require to control or restrict the molecular weight of the polymer you are making, and we discussed the two methods, one being that you use a slightly skewed stoichiometry, one of the monomer in little excess, and the second was that you can add a monofunctional monomer in slight amount. By doing this you can control the molecular weight. You also studied the molecular weight distribution, and we found that in case of number fraction of the different molecular weight chains, the lower molecular weight chains, the chains which having lower molecular weights, they present in maximum number. If you talk about weight fraction, then the weight fraction of different chain length molecular weight was maximum for a given molecular weight. We did a calculation to find out that MW and corresponding PDI, polydispersity index, which is MW by Mn, and which we found that it is PDI is equals to 1 plus P. That means, for most of the polymerization, step polymerization, when you are making high enough molecular weight, as we know by this time that P should be very close to 1. That means, for any given high molecular weight step polymer, the polydispersity is expected to be very close to 2. But I said that in practice, in industry, when one makes a step polymer, seldom the distribution, the PDI value comes to around 2. Always it found to be slightly above 2, say between 2 to 2.5 and so on. I said the reason as well, that because there are possibilities of side reaction, and one such side reaction being cyclization, there is invariably formation of some small molecular weight cyclic molecules, and as a result, when you have the small molecular weight cyclic formation, both the MW and Mn comes down. But as we know that small molecular weight affects Mn more, that means the percentage of drop in Mn is more than percentage drop in MW. As a result, MW by Mn goes up, so the PDI goes beyond 2. We also discussed at the end the different ways of a molecule, whether it is a monomer or a oligomer, can undergo cyclization, and we will continue that discussion today. And I talked about two options. In a monomer, they can intramolecularly cyclize, or in a oligomer they can, if they are reactive functional group, they can cyclize as well. Now, there is third option where a growing chain can polycyclize. Let us look at that option as well. Say you have a oligomer or a polymer chain of hydroxy carboxylic acid, which is a polyester. Now, this can undergo intermolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, which we called backbiting. Is basically the one end of the polymer chain is biting back in the main chain of the polymers, forming a cyclic molecule and another molecule. So, this is another way we can the cyclic can form, and this is the process is called is a backbinding from the end of the polymer chain to the backbone of the existing polymer chain. So, that is backbinding by substitution nucleophilic reaction. Now, as I said that the extent of cyclization in comparison to linear polymerization depends upon both thermodynamic factor and as well as kinetic factor. So, it depends upon both. Now, we started discussing about the thermodynamic factor. Thermodynamic factor is nothing but the stability of the forming cyclic rings. For example, we know from our organic chemistry knowledge that general order of stability of different ring structure follows in the following order, that a ring containing 3 or 4 atom in the ring is least stable or lower stable compared to a 5 membered or 7 to 13 membered ring, which is even lower stable than a 6 member or a 14 member ring and higher, and that we know from our organic chemistry knowledge. That is because we have in a small ring we have a more ring strain, and torsional, and in the big chain we have a torsional strain as well. So, obviously, formation of 6 membered or a 14 member or higher membered ring will be always preferred thermodynamically compared to a ring size having 3 member or 4 member in it. So, which means that in the thermodynamic factors will favor formation of a 6 member or 14 member or higher member ring in case of cyclic formation. Now, does it mean that always you have formation of cyclics, for example, 14 and higher members? Now, as you can imagine that if you have a polymer chain or oligomer chain having 14 or higher carbon atom or other atoms in the backbone. Now, this trend is valid for not only for rings having only carbon atom in the ring, but it is also valid for the rings where you have heteroatom, like say for example, ethers or esters or amides as well. This is true for almost every possible ring. Now, I was talking about that if you have a larger ring, larger linear molecules, say having 14 or higher number of atoms in the ring in the linear molecules, then they have so many conformation. This, as the more or the higher is the number of atoms or the longer is the chain, you have more number of conformation of that molecule possible. And so, the probability that any conformation will have these two reactive functional groups coming close to each other, so that they can react and form ring, is always a very low. So, if you can imagine as well that if as you grow longer and longer, the number of conformations which will enable the two functional groups at the end to come closer and react and form ring will be lower and lower. So, in terms of kinetic factor, the higher the chain length, the lower is the possibility of formation of ring. Now, if you talk about the rate of polymerization, which will help us in designing reaction conditions which will minimize the cyclic formation, let us look at the rate of ring formation or cyclization and and the linear polymerization. Now, as we can imagine or understand by now that ring formation is a unimolecular process, whether a linear polymerization is a bimolecular process. Okay. So, I can write the rate of cyclization versus rate of linear polymerization is Kc, rate constant for cyclization, and because it is a unimolecular reaction, intramolecular reaction. So, we have this and rate of K polymerization, and because it is a bimolecular reaction. So, we have m square, so which gives us Kc by Kp 1 by m. Now, as long as m is less than 1 molar, cyclization will be preferred. If m is higher than 1 molar, then linear polymerization will be preferred, that you can see from this expression. Okay. Let us only from the concentration of the monomer you can find out that if it is below 1, then rate of cyclization will be higher, and if it is above 1, this will be fraction. So, the linear polymerization will be, rate of polymerization will be higher. So, it is always advisable, that to minimize the cyclization, we always use the maximum possible concentration of the monomers, and the best we can do it if you do a bulk polymerization, that means which we are doing the reaction with the monomers and the catalyst if required. So, that is the maximum possible concentration you can have in to minimize the cyclization. Now, what happened to Kc and Kp as the reaction progress or the conversion goes up? Now, as we know that Kp is independent of conversion or the reaction, time of reaction, and which comes from the fact of the assumption of equal reactivity of the functional group, and we have seen earlier lectures that experimentally that is also true, that rate is independent on the conversion. So, Kp is constant throughout this process. So, now what happened to Kc, rate constant for cyclization. Now, as we have seen just now from the last page, that if you grow the chain as the reaction progress, the more and more conversion happen, the chain grows. Now, as the chain grows, the possibility, the kinetic feasibility of the two functional group present at the end coming and reacting to form ring comes down, which means that Kc comes down as the reaction progress, because the kinetic feasibility, that the longer the chain, the chances that two end will come and react to each other forming an intramolecular reaction, forming a ring, is always lower. So, as the reaction progress, as P progress, Kc comes down. Now, you can also argue that as the reaction progress, the monomer concentration, in this case monomer means the species which is forming the cyclic, that also comes down, because the time goes, the more and more molecule react. So, the concentration of the species which is forming intramolecular reaction, which is undergoing intramolecular reactions to form cyclic, also come down. So, then the rate of cyclization also should increase in that process. So, if the Kc comes down with concentration, with conversion, the cyclization should come down, whereas this is acting in opposite direction. As the concentration of monomers comes down, the rate of cyclization will go up. Now, it has been generally found, fortunately, that this effect less compared to this, which means for general step polymers, when you go for higher and higher conversion, the rate of cyclization comes down, because the Kc, the value of Kc comes down because of kinetic feasibility. Okay. So, that is good. So, as we in most cases the cyclization tendency comes down as we make higher and higher molecular weight. Now, what is the problem if I have some few cyclic molecules in the polymer at the end of the polymerization? First of all, we have seen that presence of these small molecular cyclics will increase the polydispersity index, which means the distribution of the polymers chains, and which affect property in several cases. Not coming to specific example, but it does affect the polymer property in several cases. And also, if these cyclics are present in the polymer mixture, they are sometimes very detrimental in the polymer properties, because during the polymer processing, when you take this polymer and process, mix with something compound and then take that compounded granules to make some final product by say molding process. Being low molecular weight, these cyclic molecules tend to come up to the surface. They prefer to be in surface. So, during the molding process, they actually migrate to the surface and they prefer to be in the surface, which actually is very detrimental from the product's property point of view. So, in most cases it is preferred and it is done that at the end of the reaction some additional steps are done to strip off the cyclic molecules, small cyclic molecules from the final product. So, that when you take that polymer which is in the at the end of the reaction, which you taking forward for molding process, which will be having least amount of cyclics molecule present. Okay. So, now we this reaction step, a reaction can process undergo in thermodynamic control way or a kinetic control way. What is thermodynamic control? Now, in this case the linear and cyclic molecules, they are during the entire reaction they are in equilibrium, okay. Whereas in kinetic control process they are not in equilibrium. The reaction proceed without establishing a equilibrium between the cyclic and linear species here, whereas in thermodynamic control polymerization there is a equilibrium between cyclic molecules and linear molecules. There is a equilibrium. So, during the entire process, polymerization process, this equilibrium exists. Now, this one example we can give the normal excuse me, normal hydroxy acid, normal ester formation, polyester formation from diacid plus diol to give polyester plus H2O. Now, as you can see, the H2O can take part, as long as H2O is present in medium, they can take part and hydrolyze the cyclic molecules, and so that they can cyclic molecules open up and undergo further linear polymerization or take part in further linear polymerization, and new cyclic small molecule formation take place and so on. So, in this case the reaction proceed maintaining a equilibrium between cyclic and linear polymerization. In case of kinetic control, as I said, that it does not maintain a equilibrium. For example, if you have a diacyl chloride plus diol, which forms polyester plus HCl. Now, HCl does not take part in reaction with the polyester, whether it is a cyclic or linear polyester, which means that in this case there is no equilibrium present between the cyclic and the linear polymer molecule. So, what is the effect of formation of cyclics in the molecular weight or the degree of polymerization of the final polymers, which can be arrived from Carothers equation, and without going into derivation we can write that x n is 1 by 1 minus p where x is a constant, depends on concentration of the reactants, and A is rate of linear polymerization by rate of cyclization. Now, these two terms, this expression is not very useful because the values for X and A are not available for most cases. Okay. So, this is good to know the expression, but this is not very useful because we do not know the values of X and A all the time, and as A goes lower, that is, if more cyclization happen, X n comes down compared to if there were no cyclization, okay, which in this case X n was 1 by 1 minus p. In case of absence of any cyclization, just pure linear formation, linear chain formation, we have seen the Carothers reaction, Carothers equation from earlier lectures, that X n is 1 over 1 minus p. So, because of cyclization, X n comes down. So, more and more cyclization happen, the degrees of polymerization also comes down, as we realized in the beginning of this lecture as well, that at a more cyclic molecules, small molecules formed, it affects both the degrees of polymerization, number average degrees of polymerization and the weight average degrees of polymerization, but it affects more the number average degrees polymers compared to weight average degrees of polymerization. So, you get the PDI higher than 2. Now, at A is very high, if A is very high, that means almost absence of cyclization, then X n would be 1 minus p, which is basically giving us back the original Carothers equation for linear polymerization, linear step polymerization. Now, one thing also we should remember in case of step polymerization, that the chains when the chains are forming during the reactions, the chains can, there is a possibility that chains can also undergo exchange reaction between them and making the chains reacting with each other. For example, if I take a this is again coming back to example of polyester. Now, this molecule can again do a nucleophilic substitution reaction, and they can exchange the parts in two different chain, but in this case there is no change in number of functional groups. So no change in number of molecules either. As a result, no change in exchange bar, no change in molecular weight as well. So this statistically does not have any significance in terms of final polymer product, in terms of their molecular weight or molecular weight distribution, but this is you should have you should have knowledge that during the chain during the polymerization, the chains can undergo exchange reaction between them and they can reshuffle. Like if you have two different, if you are starting with, say for example, if you are not starting with two monomers A and BB type, you are starting with two different oligomers and carrying out the reaction from there. If you are starting with two different oligomers and you are starting the reaction from there, you will at the end of the polymerization you will find that these chains are reshuffled and they have a uniform composition across. Okay. But when you are starting with the monomers, it does not matter, you will finally going to get the same polymers, whether there is or there is not any reshuffling exchange reaction between the two growing chain. This is just for your knowledge. Okay. Now, let us go to next topic, which is branching and cross linking. Let us I have a molecule A and B functional group and I have a molecule like this, which have 3 A functional group. Now, how they will react? Obviously, A can only react with B, so it will react with B, other side will be A, again this will react with B, the other side will be A. Similarly, this side it will react with B, other side will be A, and similarly. So, here also it will react with B, A, B, A, something like that. Okay. Now, you can see this, in this case you always have A group at the end. Now, this is the branch, this is the main linear chain and this is the branch. Okay. A number of branch obviously will be dependent upon the moles of this group. Now, we are writing this is AF, where AF is 3 here. So, F is the number of functional group present in this molecule. So, F is 3 here. So, you can understand that in this case always the ends will have a functional group of A, which cannot react with each other, growing chain cannot react with, it only react with the monomer. So, if I will this branch react with any other chain, growing chain? No. If I have to, if this branch has to react with any other chain, any other polymer chain, then it has to find a B group which it can react, but there is not any polymer chain having a free B group at the end, which means that it cannot undergo reaction with another chain, which means in this case there would not be any cross linking between two polymer chain. Cross linking is when you have a branch or you have a connection between two chains. If I had a chain here, then this is the cross link, it would have been a cross link. So, let us take another example. How it will react? This one AA plus BB, BF, and where F is 3 or higher. obviously the reaction will be A, B, 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 A. Suppose this B comes here and you have B, B. Suppose we are talking about F is 3, this will react with A, again B, B, this will react with A and B, B and so on. Okay. Now, in this case you have A, B, or if you have here you have A. That means, you in the polymers you can have the two functional groups at the end. See, if I have some polymer chain which a branch having A at the end, now what will happen? These two can react and forming a connection between two linear chains. Okay. Now, this is what cross linking is all about. In earlier case there was no cross linking possible between two linear chain, but in this case because there are functional group free, functional group present both type, it can undergo a cross linking reaction. What are the other types it can undergo? If I have say like AA plus BF type, it can undergo cross linking, you can visualize yourself, plus AF plus few BB molecule, then also it can cross link, form cross link, or you can have, if you have AF plus BF molecule, all these can form cross links, cross linking. So, you understand, if I have a polyfunctional group which have functionality more than 2, 3 or more, then there is a, depending upon which reaction system which we are talking about, there is a possibility that it may form cross link. Now, what is the molecular weight distribution in this case? I go back this and write the molecular weight distribution again without going into the derivation, where x w by S n is given by 1 plus F R P, you know all the term here, F R P plus 1 minus R P square, and at R is equal to 1, P is 1, this x w x n, which is the polydispersity index, will land up 1 plus 1 F. So, that is your molecular weight distribution. If F is 1, the molecular weight distribution would be, so if I take this molecule just a one monofunctional group, and obviously it will be, we discussed that earlier, it will be like a linear polymerization with presence of small amount of monofunctional group. If F is 2, which is basically A and A, then it will be much narrower distribution. If AF is 1, then it will be, if the distribution is like this, if the distribution is like this for F is 1, if I increase F, then it will be narrower. If F is 3, it will become even narrower. Okay. So, this F is 1, F is 2, F is 3. So, when we have more and more branching, in this case the chains are, the dispersion, the polymers chains are having lower and lower polydispersity. So, basically in this case low molecular weight chains are not present in that amount at that number if there was no this multifunctional or polyfunctional group. Now, what would be the the number average molecular weight in the second case? This one, let us go and try to derive that. Now, for simplicity, let us start with I have a system where A is to be two functional group, that is the simplest thing we have been discussing, they have in equal number. So, 1:1. So, and also we define a term F average, which is the average number of functional groups present per molecule, which would be given by Ni Fi total Ni. If Ni is the, so Ni is the number of molecules having Fi functional functional groups. Okay. So, that is that we are defining this term, and we are assuming for simplicity that this is the condition we are having. Now, let us consider that N0 is the number of molecules at t is equal to 0. At the beginning we have N0 is number of molecules. So, what is the number of functional group? N0 multiplied by F average, because if F average is the number of functional group present per molecule on average. So, that is the number of functional group present at t is equal to 0. Also, let N is the number of molecules present at the end of the reaction. So, what would be Xn? As you know from earlier, that is N0 by N. Now, we know that N is the number of molecules present now after end of the reaction, and N0 was the number of molecules present at the beginning. So, how many number of molecules reacted? How many molecules reacted? N0 was the number of molecules at the beginning, and N is the number of molecules now. So, the number of molecules reacted, so number of molecules reacted is N0 minus N. So, number of functional group reacted. Now, when one molecule disappears, how many number of functional groups is reacting? Two functional groups. So, number of functional groups reacted is twice N0 by N. So, what is the conversion? So, conversion is number of molecules reacted, number of functional groups reacted, and the number of functional group originally present. Okay. So, that is the fraction, that is the conversion which gives you 2 by F average minus twice N by N0 F average, or twice F average minus twice X n F average, because N0 by N is your X n as we talked about. We can rearrange this also to get X n is 2 by 2 minus F average into P. So, in this case this is the X n and this is your P, this is conversion. Now, from this expression we can know that if F average is higher, more than 2, then for given p value, given conversion, we will get a higher molecular weight, higher degrees of polymerization in comparison to a linear polymer. Okay. For linear polymer, what was there? For linear, Xn was 1 by 1 minus p, if you recollect. So, if for a given p, if average is more than 2, then this number will be higher compared to the Xn obtained in linear polymerization. So, we even without pushing the reaction to very high conversion, we can make high molecular weight in this case. Okay. Now, if you talk about P, what happened when x is n is infinity, when x n can become infinity. If the reaction, if the molecules, all the chains now tied up, if all the chains, if I have say something like this, polymer chains are growing, now I have cross links here and there, somewhere like this, something like this. Okay. So, what is the molecular weight of this polymer? Is all chains are connected, there is no individual molecular weight. So, if all at the point when you have a complete network formation, that is where the molecular weight become infinity. Okay. And that is the point you can visibly see the gel formation. Gel formation means which is not soluble in the medium, which is insoluble in any solvent or in bulk as well. Okay. So, that when the molecular weight becomes infinity, Xn becomes infinity, that means you basically have the entire molecular polymer are cross linked with each other, then the first sign of gel formation happen, and we call that as a gel point. So, when the molecular weight becomes infinity for the first time, at what conversion, that conversion is termed as the gel point. So, what is the gel point? When Xn is infinity, so Pc pre-critical, which conversion, the conversion at which there is a first time of gel formation or the network formation, you call that as gel point, and which gives you by 2 by F average. Okay. If there is only AA plus BB type molecule, then obviously F average is 2, then that can only happen when P is 1. You know that for a linear polymerization, the infinite molecular happen only when everything is reacted. All the monomers are reacted, form a single chain, which basically will give you infinite molecular, but that seldom happens. You cannot make P is 1, but if F average is more than 2, then at a lower value you can make a gel point, gel. Now, if from a practical point of view, maybe I will come in the next lecture that what is the utility of this branch formation or a cross link formation. Now, what is the problem in if we have cross link formation, or if there could be, in some cases there could be some advantage, some property advantage if you have lightly cross linked network present in your polymer system. Okay. That I will discuss in the next lecture, and with giving you some examples of where this deliberately some cross linking is done to utilize that polymer for a special property. Now, we almost completed our discussion on the mechanism aspect of the or theoretical basis of the step polymerization. Now onwards, what I am going to discuss is what are the processes, what are the process conditions to make the high molecular weight or successful step polymerization. And in the next lecture, what I am planning is to give the process of synthesizing different step polymers like polyesters, polycarbonate, polyurethanes, and it give you the chemistry or what is the reaction is carried out in real sense, in practical sense, to make this make this step polymer. So, in next lecture I will complete that discussion on step growth polymerization. Now, let us begin with let us see what is the process, what are the process conditions required for a successful step polymerization. We have seen that during our discussion we have covered everything, we have mentioned all these things, but now I am just summarizing one after one point, so that it will give you complete picture what are the parameters or what are the conditions we must have in place, so that to make a successful high molecular weight step polymer. Let us go and see point one point in this slide. First, that reaction rates, we know reaction rates are generally slow for these step polymers, and typically the rate constant are of the order of 10 to the power 3 liter mole inverse second inverse, which is very low. So, it cannot be done at room temperature. So, high temperature is required, typically 150 degree to say 250 degree centigrade is the temperature is typically applied, or at this temperature where the polymerization is carried out. So, high temperature is required to facilitate to make the reaction faster, and we also know from our kinetics, when we did the kinetics, remember that the molecular weight was proportional to directly linearly related to the initial monomer concentration in 0, if you can recollect that. So, which means that this is always preferred to do a step polymerization with high monomer concentration, which means that if you are doing in a solution, then you do it in a higher concentration, and if it is possible to do in a bulk where you have only the monomers and the catalyst, that is the preferred situation. Next, we know that to make a high molecular weight, P should be close to 1, the conversion should be close to 1, and from our kinetics discussion we have seen that to have P close to 1, very high number, we have to continue the reaction for a longer time. There is no other alternate route by which we can achieve P very high, close to 1, without keeping the reaction for a longer time. There is no other route. So, we have to keep the reaction or continue the reaction for a longer time to have the P value close to 1, which means that if you have some monomers or the resulting polymers or oligomers are not thermally stable, then it is a problem that those might degrade and generate some impurities in the polymers, which can generate color or which can degrade the polymers in later stage, and which will not give you, definitely not give you the properties which you are looking for from that polymer. So, it is always preferred that thermally stable polymers should be utilized in the polymerization. And if you know also that if it is in high temperature and if there is a presence of oxygen, then thermo-oxidative degradation is a very feasible way of degrading any organic molecules. So, it is always preferred that the reaction, if possible, should be done in a inert atmosphere like a nitrogen atmosphere or argon atmosphere, so that you are taking away the possibility or minimizing the possibility of thermo-oxidative degradation of the monomer or the resulting oligomer or polymer molecules. And as we discussed, that external catalyst are always preferred than an internal catalyst, and that basically we with internal catalyst we or self catalyzed, it is very difficult, even more difficult to build high molecular weight. So, external catalyst is always preferred. Next point is stoichiometry ratio R should be close to 1. We have seen that if your R is not close to 1, the molecular weight becomes lower. Now, to have R is close to 1, you first have to know the purity of the monomer, and if there is impurity, you do not know what you are putting in the reaction. So, it is always advisable and it is always preferred, and also industrial it is always done to have the monomers which are extremely pure, very pure, so that you know what you are putting. If you are adding two monomers, assuming that they are close to 1:1 or whatever target molecular weight you are looking for, that has to be the same what you are giving. That means, the monomer has to be very pure, and if required, you can change the ratio R slightly and put one of them in excess, so that the molecular weight is controlled if you have some molecular weight in your target, and that can also be done by adding small molecule or small amount of monofunctional molecule. We also seen that equilibrium considerations are also very important, prime important. We have seen that in most cases these polycondensation or step polymers are equilibrium reactions. So, to have the product formation, you have to take out the small molecular weight condensate out of the system. You have to drive that out by applying low pressure, lifetime vacuum and high temperature, and so that your reaction is proceed towards the product side, towards the polymer side. You also seen that it is always preferred that you have a higher K value, higher equilibrium constant. Now, what happen if you have a higher K, then for a given polymer, for targeting same polymer molecular weight, you can actually live with the small amount of or more amount of condensate in the system. If you have comparing between two reaction having higher equilibrium constant, then in that case you can live or build that high molecular weight, leaving little excess amount of the condensate. Okay. So, it is always prefer that you take out as much as condensate as possible by your system, by your technique, and also you have the you design your monomers so that reactivity is higher, and so the equilibrium constant is higher. Next point is no or minimum side reaction. We know that these side reactions, cyclic formation, if cyclic formations takes place too much time, then they will come out of the reaction and your distribution goes up. If your side reaction is forming some molecules which act as a chain stopper, which is like act as the end of monofunctional groups, if your side reaction producing some molecules which are monofunctional, which act as a chain stopper, then it will harm your building up your molecular, it will stop the molecule there itself. And if your monomers, if you any side reactions which hinder the reactivity of your functional group, if you have some species which is generating, which is affecting the reactivity functional group, that also will hinder your reactivity of the functional group, hence the polymer formation. So, proper choice of monomer is also very important, and as we have seen that to reduce the cyclic formation, cyclic molecules formation, it is preferred that we do the reaction in high concentration of monomer. We have seen just now that in earlier today that it is always preferred to have the monomer present in high concentration, so that we can reduce the cyclic formation. We also seen that it is important that we have the functional groups present in the during the reaction. If some molecules or oligomers are forming which are say get precipitated out of the solution, if you are doing reaction in a solution, if the oligomers precipitate out, then the functional groups are not available to react. So, it is always your solvent or
the medium should be such that your functional groups are always accessible, you should be always accessible to react. Now, there are two other thing is thermal management, because polymerization reactions are exothermic. So, as more and more reaction is happening, more heat get generated, but fortunately the exothermicity or the amount of heat generated for in a step growth polymerization is not high. So, the managing the heat generation or the heat generated during the polymerization is quite not difficult. And the next point is managing the high viscosity. As we progress, the molecular weight goes up, and again fortunately the molecular weight goes up into very high level at the end of the polymerization when the P is very high. So, except the situation when P is very high, the viscosity of the medium remains manageable, and at the high viscosity at the high conversion time frame, the polymer goes up and your viscosity also goes up. So, we need to have a very good stirring mechanism, so that the condensate can be exposed to the vacuum you are applying, so that you can push the reaction towards the product side. Now, if you have this most of covers all the conditions, all the criteria if you have need to follow or to a successful completion of a step polymer. Now, let us you follow all the all this, okay, everything, all these points which we covered in last 5-10 minutes, you follow exactly all the things according to my direction or according to the directions given in a book, and at the end of the reaction you find that there is no molecular build up, the molecule is just form oligomers. So, you think that whatever is I am just talking is not correct, or whatever is written in the book is not correct, you might think that way, but it is not. You have to think little higher, where this your experience comes, your experience of polymer synthesis comes. What we will do, we will start from that point, that even if you follow the requirement of successful step polymerization, there could be some other reasons which you need to be careful, so that you have a successful build up of high molecular weight in a step polymerization process. So, we will visit with just this, we will just begin with that in the next lecture, and complete the module on step growth polymerization by looking at the synthetic procedure of the several step polymers. Okay.